Hey everybody, it's Casey. I'm going to do a very short and quick version of my cancer story. I could probably talk about this for an hour, and so this is going to be very, very short. So if you have any questions, which you probably will, I'll probably forget something, please feel free to ask me. I'm in some pretty bright light right now, so I probably look really bald. Yeah, I look pretty bald. As of the time that I'm doing this video, I'm completely done with chemo, so this is the absolute worst that my hair is going to get before it finally starts to grow back. But anyway, I'll start with my story. I was married in April, and exactly 1 month later is when I found the lump in my neck, which was right here. This is my right side. I think my camera is switched. That day that I found the lump on my neck, I mean, you couldn't see it. I mean, I was just sitting at my work computer, kind of like feeling myself up, you know. And that's when I felt it in the side of my neck. And I called my primary doctor that day. They got me in for an appointment, I think it was the next day. And he decided to schedule a sonogram. So we did the sonogram. That came back that I had a nodule on the left side of my thyroid and just a mass on the right side of my neck. So then we did a CT scan the next day. And the same day that I got the CT scan, I was sent over to see a surgeon. And I actually took my CD of the CT scan with me to the surgeon. The surgeon looked at it for probably 30 seconds and said, well, you have a nodule on the side of your thyroid, and I think the mass in your neck is just the other side of your thyroid. So we're just going to take your thyroid out. And it was just as simple as that. And I was just like, okay, like we're taking the whole thing? And he said, yeah, because one side is enlarged and the other side has the nodule, so we're going to just take it all out. So I said, okay. So 2 weeks later, I had my thyroid surgery, so that was about June 23rd. I had just turned 28. So a week after the thyroid surgery, and I'm going to do a whole nother video on my thyroidectomy, so if you have any questions about that, go to that video. A week after, I went back to see the surgeon, and the lump in my neck was still there. That had not gone anywhere, and he said that it was just fluid, but they looked into my thyroid, and they had found, when they took it out, a very small 6mm partially encapsulated tumor in my thyroid, which was cancerous. It was a papillary carcinoma, which is a very common type of thyroid cancer, supposedly, especially in women. And my thyroid, my levels were fine. It was completely functioning. I didn't have any side effects of anything. So he said, since they had found cancer in it, one of the main things they do to get rid of thyroid cancer is to remove the thyroid. Well, we had already done that. And he said that I would probably have to do some type of radioactive iodine treatment. So they sent me over to a radiation oncologist. And I went over there, and the doctor was looking at my CT scan disc, and he said, why do you have enlarged lymph nodes in your chest? And I looked at him like he was a total weirdo, and I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Sorry. And he was like, well, it says right here in the report of your CT scan that you have, enlarged thyroid or enlarged lymph nodes in your chest. I was like, you probably have the wrong disc, because I've seen 2 doctors, and and they both have seen this disc, and neither one of them has said that. So they were like, okay, well, let me get this figured out before we even talk about your thyroid. So I said, okay. So the next day they got the disc from the doctor's office. They got a copy of it and looked at it again to make sure it was mine, and it was. So they said, this could be just something just as simple as an infection. Because your lymph nodes, they're kind of the trash cans of your body. So anytime that you maybe have a cold or an infection, your lymph nodes can swell up. That's like when you go to the doctor and you say, I got a sore throat, I'm cold, I got a cold. First thing he'll do is usually feel your neck, because he's feeling if your lymph nodes are enlarged. So they said it could just be something as simple as that, or it could be something as serious as lymphoma. So immediately I was like, what the hell? Are you kidding me? But I just said, okay, well, let's get it obviously figured out. So they sent me to the cancer center and scheduled a biopsy. And I got a biopsy through my chest. I had 2 lymph nodes in my chest. So what they did, and it was like right between my boobs. And what they did was they took kind of a thick needle and they kind of, this is going to sound so crazy, but they kind of like screwed it down through the cartilage between my sternum and my ribs. Like, here's my sternum and here are your ribs. You have cartilage that connects your ribs to your sternum, which allows your chest to expand when you breathe. They had to screw through that, and they had to go all the way down pretty close to my heart. And what they did was with that, they had that thick needle, and then they had a very, very thin spiral needle that they would stick through the big needle, and they would kind of twist that spiral needle. And what it would do is it would kind of take chunks out of the tumor, and that was what their biopsy was. So mind you, I was awake for this whole thing, okay? That was fun. But it took maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And when I was done, they gave me like one of those tiny circle band-aids, and then like I was done. It was crazy. They sent it to the Mayo Clinic, and it came back inconclusive, which I was just so happy about. I went and saw my doctor again, and he said, you know, the results are inconclusive, but it's strongly suggestive that you have Hodgkins lymphoma. And he said, you know, yes, it is cancer, but if you're going to get cancer, this is the kind that you want. Which, that is just the craziest statement ever, but I understood what he was trying to say. So I was like, all right, well, what the hell are we going to do? Let's get this going. And he said, well, you know, we're not going to start any treatment unless I know 100% exactly what this is. And I was fine with that. So this whole time I am going through all sorts of tests. I had a MUGA test for my heart. I had a lung test. I had a PET scan. I had another CT scan, and tons of blood tests. I mean, I went in and got like 9 vials of blood taken. I mean, they were juicing me. And also, he got a sample of bone marrow, which was probably the most painful thing I've ever been through. So he was on top of everything, and I'm really happy about that. He's a lymphoma specialist, so good doctor. But we decided to do another biopsy, so that is what this scar is right here, of the initial lump in my neck. Why we didn't do that in the first place, who knows? But the very, very beginning of August, I had the biopsy of that lymph node there. That same day, they put in a portacath. You can see my scar right here. Put a portacath, and it runs up into my jugular vein. And about 3 days later, the results came back from the Mayo Clinic again that said I did have Hodgkin's lymphoma. So that was, I think, on like August 7th or so, 6th. No, sorry. August 4th. It was a Thursday. Said it was Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I said, okay, well, what are we going to do? And he said, well, we're going to have to do chemo, and it will take at least 4 to 6 months. So my husband and I decided to do fertility treatment before chemo, because chemotherapy can make you infertile. And I did a whole nother video on my fertility treatments if you want to go and watch that. So we did 2 weeks of that, and then on the 23rd of August was my first chemotherapy. So, found the lump in May, and by August I had already had, you know, a major surgery, my thyroid removed, and my biopsies and all sorts of crap. And as of December 1st was my very last chemo. So today is the 14th or 15th. So I'm done with that. I have some low-grade radiation coming in January, and then I will be completely done. So that's my very short, modified cancer story. If you have any questions or anything, please message me, do a video response. I'm more than happy to talk about it, but I'll see you guys in the next videos. Bye.